I'm tired, people are getting on my nerves, I've had a massive weight gain, and I've had to make a final decision about Mounjaro. Week 22, let's get into it. Let's address the elephant in the room first, which this week feels like me. So let's address the massive weight gain. I say massive, it is quite significant, and it's probably the first weight gain that I've had on this journey starting May last year that I thought, am I able to pull this back? So I've gained 6 pounds, which means this week my weight is borderline in my current target range. Am I unduly worried about it? No, but it did lead me to the next part, which is the reason that I've gained that weight is not actually because all of my food choices have gone completely AWOL. It's just that it's been hot and it's been an absolutely atrocious week. Not just the job thing, there are worse things going on. I haven't felt like eating. And so what's been happening is I've been skipping meals just because I wasn't hungry, and then I've been picking, and that picking has taken me to late night picking, meaning I wake up in the morning and I'm hungry, and the food noise and the hunger are sort of working against me, and I'm just not making the best choices. That won't all be fat, of course it won't, but a proportion of it will. And my concern is more that it's 6 pounds this week, then it's another 4 pounds, then you've gained a stone, then it's a stone and a half, and where does it stop? I've been really transparent on this channel, as you know, around if it got to the point that I felt I couldn't pull it back, I would use Mounjaro. But I don't feel like that's a helpful mindset to have. I feel like having that thought process is very much leaving the door open, and a bit like when I had that emotional resilience pen in the fridge, it was sort of like, you can do what you want to do because you've got the pen in the fridge, have a couple of days off, eat what you want, then just use the pen. Now, nothing's really changed. I don't feel really any different about it, and I know the data says after a year 80 to 95% of people will regain the weight, but I'm nearly 6 months in, and I would have thought, albeit I've gained 6 pounds, but I would have thought that if I was gonna start regaining the weight, I would be much further down on that journey now. Like I said, it's not that I've had such a bad week that it's all just gone completely to pot like it did a few weeks ago where I had those 2 days. This is a bit different. It's just that I've been eating and picking, and that's gone on later in the night. And naturally, I think you eat more calories when you eat like that. There's been a lot of stress, but I'm bored. And so that picking has sort of been magnified because I'm bored, because there's been so much really awful stuff going on. I've given myself a bit of a pass. And I think that was probably the right thing to do. I think I can sometimes apply too much pressure to myself. And I've talked extensively about the need not to be perfect on this channel. And then I don't always follow that advice when I put too much pressure on myself. And I'm like, right, no, regimented. I'm not going to do that. I've allowed myself to have a bit more flexibility. It could also be a natural fluctuation. I'm really bloated at the moment. You know, I think there's a lot going on. So I haven't stood on the scales and been gutted and thought, right, well, that's it. It's all undone. I've lost 158 pounds, but I gained 6. Therefore, I've screwed myself over. It just sort of is what it is. But as I said, the decision around the Mounjaro, and I have now made a final decision. It feels very final at the moment. I don't know what Keely in 6 months is going to say, or Keely in a year, but as it stands right now, I've made the decision that actually I'm not going to repurchase Mounjaro again, even if it got to the point that I thought I can't pull this back. For a few reasons, the financial, my health anxiety, that plays a huge impact on the use of Mounjaro. It's always something really conflicting for me. And also, I sort of feel that having the mentality where I'm just saying to myself, no, might actually change some of the struggles that I've had in terms of that mindset. And I'll say it again, and I mean it truly, I am not demonising GLP-1 medications. I am not saying that, I'm better than a GLP-1 medication, or I'm fixed, or I'm cured. I'm not saying any of that, but I think you have to follow the path that's appropriate for you and right for you. And I sort of feel like I came to a natural end of my GLP-1 journey. You know, we'll just see where we are. I'm not having a bad week. As I said, I've gained some weight. That's the natural part of life. I have no doubt that, you know, possibly I could have stood on the scales tomorrow and it would have been lower. Or maybe even if I stood on them now, it might be lower. I just have to make sure I'm not doing the picking. So what I am doing this week is I'm not going to go full force at a plan. There's just too much stuff, which I'm not going to talk about, going on behind the scenes. I'm going to make sure I don't eat after 6 o'clock. I'm just setting myself some daily targets. I don't know if anybody saw my short where I did how many calories can I burn just cleaning the house. A lot, apparently. I'm going to do some things like that because it gives me a bit of a motivator. And I've talked before about when you're no longer losing weight, you're not aiming to get on the scales and think, what have I lost this week? Like, that mini motivation's there. I'm sure lots of people feel that. So I'm just going to set myself some little daily targets that are maybe more achievable. Just give me something to work towards. Not that I'm going to be devastated if I don't meet them, but just give me something to work towards, which will also maybe give me a distraction from some of the stuff that's going on at the moment. Quick update on the video I did about my job. Thank you to everybody. That was amazing support. Long story short, I won't be going back there. Anyhow, so yes, it feels like it's been a transformative week. It feels more like that. It feels a bit more outside of the other, the other stuff, like, I'm gonna just take I'm going to go a bit easier on myself is more the point that I'm getting at. I'm just going to take the next few weeks as it comes and hope for better outcomes. Yeah, so if you found this video helpful, do subscribe. Apparently I've got something like 10,000 regular viewers. Please do subscribe if you do come back and watch and I don't completely get on your nerves. Just pop a little subscribe. Yeah, leave a comment. Love the comments. Everybody's sort of always in the comments, which is great, and like the video. But as I said, do hit the subscribe button, it would mean a lot, and I will see you in the next one.